Welcome. You are listening to Aftersight. This recording is intended solely for individuals who are blind or have low vision.
Thank you for joining us for Audiobook News read by Sarah, featuring Audiophile Magazine. And today we're going to start with some history and biography title reviews. Unroyal, 3 Women Who Shook the Monarchy by Sarah Lyle, read by Sarah Lyle. Journalist Sarah Lyle narrates her own examination of 3 women who shook the British monarchy. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's PR nightmare involving requests for freedom and royal funds is fresh in the public's mind. Prince Harry's struggles sometimes mirror those of his late mother, Diana, Princess of Wales. Her soft voice is heard in interview clips. The lesser-known royal scandal is the one in 1937, when the twice-divorced Wallis Simpson married former King Edward VIII, a union that led to Edward's abdication. Lyle's narration is paced perfectly and lets the musical interludes and sound clips shine. One clip interestingly highlights the change in Kate Middleton's accent from posh to something more rarefied. It's available from Pushkin Industries, 4.5 hours long, unabridged. Trade edition digital download for $10.49. Blood in the Machine, The Origins of the Rebellion Against Big Tech, by Brian Merchant, read by Eric Jason Martin. Eric Jason Martin presents this history of the Luddite uprising in 19th century England like a war correspondent embedded among the rampaging textile workers. His gung-ho narration enlivens the audiobook and complements the workers' fight for their livelihoods against the one-percenters of that era. The audiobook sets the record straight regarding the goals of the oft-misunderstood Luddites and their aggressive tactics. The weavers destroyed looms and other machines, and the British government responded by sending the military to deal with the uprising. The displacement of jobs triggered by the Industrial Revolution is also compared to the 21st century dilemma of workers who have been displaced by today's gig economy, app-based businesses, and AI. Listeners may conclude that no trade or profession is safe from its own obsolescence. It's available from Hachette Audio, 15.5 hours unabridged. Trade edition digital download, ISBN 978-154-919-9899 for $27. The Lost Tomb and Other Real-Life Stories of Bones, Burials and Murder, by Douglas Preston, with a foreword by David Gran, read by Will Collier. Will Collier's narration will hook listeners as author Douglas Preston reveals an assortment of true stories behind his fictional works. Listeners will have to wait for the final chapter to hear about the tomb where several of Ramses II's sons were laid to rest, protected by curses that are both amusing and chilling in Collier's narration. Collier also brings drama to his narration of Preston's web search for an old friend. He recounts Preston's memories with fondness before revealing a sad discovery. To bring an interrogation to life, Collier makes the questions of the police loud and rough, building the tension. Collier also harshly voices online comments about murder suspect Amanda Knox, who Preston believes is innocent. Preston first told these true stories in magazines such as The New Yorker. It's available from Hachette Audio, 12 hours long, unabridged. Trade edition digital download, ISBN 978-166-862-7310 for $31.99. Invitation to a Banquet, The Story of Chinese Food, by Fuchsia Dunlop, read by Fuchsia Dunlop. UK-born and bred author Fuchsia Dunlop adds zest to her ardent narration of her Epicurean adventures around China and the history of Chinese food. A year-long academic scholarship in Sichuan, China, led to an invitation to study at the Sichuan Higher Institute of Cuisine. Her acceptance, which stemmed from a love of food, cooking, and a desire to spend more time in the city, became a 3-decade gastronomic career. Dunlop's narration imparts wisdom and reverence for Chinese culture and China's diverse cuisine, especially its infinite permutations. Her authentic Mandarin accent and satiny voice add to the lyrical descriptions and intricate history of mouth-watering dishes like steamy Reeves shad and places like Dragonwell Village. Grab your chopsticks and get ready for a delectable performance. It's available from Highbridge Audio, 17.5 hours unabridged. Trade edition digital download, ISBN 169-661-3606 for $29.99. Sheridan's Secret Mission: How the South Won the War After the Civil War, by Robert Quicklick, read by Rick Adamson. This audiobook focuses on one of the most contentious and misunderstood periods in American history, the reconstruction of the South after the Civil War. Rick Adamson keeps to a steady, impartial tone, carefully pacing a narrative that unties many historical knots while unfolding a sadly paradoxical series of events. The subtitle tells the tale: How the South Won the War After the Civil War. President Grant wanted to annex Santo Domingo as a refuge for oppressed blacks, but was thwarted. His assignment of a stubby Union general to pacify the Louisiana legislature illustrates how united public opposition can win victories that armies cannot. Adamson is very listenable, and he effectively illuminates a dark passage in American democracy whose effects continue to reverberate today. It's available from Harper Audio, 7.5 hours long, unabridged. Trade edition, digital download, ISBN 978-006-295-0673 for $27.99. August Wilson, A Life, by Patty Hartigan, read by Dion Graham, with an afterword by Patty Hartigan. This biography of playwright and poet August Wilson contains both narrative and brief passages from some of his plays. Thus, the narrator has to be both storyteller and actor. Dion Graham excels at both. His rich voice carries the biography along nicely, but it is when he recites lines from plays such as Fences and quotations from figures in Wilson's past that Graham really shines. He alters his voice and delivery to reflect each person directly quoted. It's like listening to a full-cast production. The audiobook is an enlightening look at Wilson's life and the forces and people that shaped his plays. Listeners who have seen Ma Rainey's Black Bottom might well be inspired to view it again with a deeper understanding. It's available from Simon & Schuster Audio, 16.5 hours long, unabridged. Trade edition, digital download, ISBN 978-179-717-8691 for $29.99. Queen of the Court by Madeleine Blaise, read by Monica Plant. Narrator Monica Plant's clear voice and steady cadence enhance this fascinating examination of tennis legend Alice Marble. Between 1936 and 1940, Marble won 18 Grand Slam championships, even though she'd gained notoriety as a baseball player as a child. Encouraged to play a ladies' game, Marble became known for her pioneering style in power tennis and later coached Billie Jean King. She was also a fashion designer, a singer/performer, an author, and a civil rights activist. While Plant misses the opportunity to create a more engaging listening experience by adding vocal variety during emotional turns in the story, her thoughtful pauses provide emphasis and even levity at times. It's available from Tantor Media, 15.75 hours unabridged. Trade edition, digital download, ISBN 979-835-0808766 for $24.99. Library edition, digital download, ISBN 979-835-0808773 for $54.95. Errand into the Maze, The Life and Works of Martha Graham, by Deborah Jowett, read by Erin Bennett. Renowned Village Voice dance critic Deborah Jowett has written an informative biography of the legendary modern dance choreographer, performer, and teacher Martha Graham. Erin Bennett delivers a sophisticated yet relaxed performance of the text. 3 cheers for an enchanting effort so well matched to the book at hand. Bennett's tone and intonation are solid. In all respects, her narration suits the wild yet graceful evolution of Graham's life. The period after Graham's initial departure from the stage is carefully explored, including her depression and alcohol abuse. Happily, her successful return to both stage and teaching lasted until her death from pneumonia at age 96. The artistry and influence of Graham's career are matched by an entirely professional narration. It's available from Tantor Media, 16.5 hours long, unabridged. Trade edition digital download, ISBN 979-876-509-8486 for $24.99. Library edition digital download, ISBN 979-876-509-8493 for $54.95. And now for some fiction title reviews. The Limits by Nell Freudenberger, read by Rebecca Lohman. Set in New York City and French Polynesia in the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic, this mesmerizing audiobook is flawlessly narrated by Rebecca Lohman. Pia is the 15-year-old daughter of Stephen, a cardiologist at New York City Hospital, and Natalie, a marine biologist. Hoping to attend high school in person, Pia relocates from the island where Natalie is conducting research to the posh New York City apartment of her father and his pregnant second wife, Kate. Lohman's flexible, emotive delivery and steady pace settle listeners into this contemplative story, exploring medicine, environmental devastation, colonialism, family dynamics, and the impact of privilege during the pandemic. Lohman relays complex scientific and medical concepts with ease, and her impeccable French pronunciation adds authenticity to Natalie's island life. And Rebecca Lohman says, "The Limits is told from multiple points of view, so the filter changes. The way emotions colour the language changes, and I really love to give voice to that." It's available from Random House Audio, 11.75 hours unabridged. Trade edition digital download, ISBN 978-059-382-4764 for $22.50. Books on Tape has a library edition digital download, ISBN 978-059-382-4771 for $85. Can't We Be Friends? A novel of Ella Fitzgerald and Marilyn Monroe, by Eliza Knight and Denny S. Bryce, read by Karen Chilton and Caroline Hewitt. The narrators Karen Chilton and Caroline Hewitt combine their considerable vocal talent to portray two legendary entertainers in this audiobook set primarily in the 1950s. There are no words to express how compelling Chilton's performance is as Ella Fitzgerald, the Queen of Jazz. Chilton mesmerizes listeners as she imbues Fitzgerald with subtle emotion, poise, and practicality. Listeners will be so convinced they're hearing Fitzgerald that they'll long for Chilton to break into song. Hewitt is no less dazzling as screen icon Marilyn Monroe. Hewitt brings layers of wit, savvy, and emotional fragility to her depiction of Monroe's familiar story. The audiobook begins as Monroe writes letters to Fitzgerald, and they become pen pals, and then good friends. The spirit of the time surrounds their friendship as each navigates family, romance, and career. It's available from Harper Audio, 11.25 hours unabridged. Trade edition digital download, ISBN 978-006-3282926 for $27.99. The Phoenix Crown by Kate Quinn and Janie Chang, read by Saskia Marleveld and Catherine Chin. Two accomplished narrators, Saskia Marleveld and Catherine Chin, set forth this story of the San Francisco earthquake of 1906 and the people caught up in its devastation. Both narrators are skilled at portraying emotions, revving up suspense and mastering many varieties of accents and dialects. Marleveld's urbane and sonorous voice brings to life the ambitious opera ingenue Gemma, and Chin's pert narration animates Su Ling, the hard-working, artistic Chinese-American embroideress. Two other brave and gifted women complete the quartet of heroines who struggle to survive and to bring justice to a murderer. This is gripping historical fiction, and listeners will also learn about the trauma faced by the residents of Chinatown during that time period. It's available from Harper Audio, 11.5 hours unabridged. Trade edition digital download, ISBN 978-006-330-4871 for $21.99. A Wild and Heavenly Place by Robin Oliveira, read by Angus King, Katie Townsend, and Tavia Gilbert. Narrators Angus King, Katie Townsend, and Tavia Gilbert excel at telling this powerful story. In 1878 Scotland, Samuel saves Haley's brother, sparking a secret romance despite their class differences. When Haley's father's financial downfall forces her family to emigrate to Seattle, Samuel sets off to find her. Against the backdrop of Washington Territory, their story illustrates the era's survival challenges. King gives Samuel's story a heartfelt cadence, while Townsend infuses Haley's narrative with passion. Her portrayal of Mrs. McIntyre is vivid and almost shrill, adding depth to the character, and her rendition of James is equally nuanced. Gilbert relays the author's note, elucidating the historical accuracy of the novel's events and describing Oliveira's creative process. It's available from Penguin Audio, 12.75 hours long, unabridged. Trade edition, digital download, ISBN 978-059-382-6638 for $22.50. Books on Tape has the library edition, digital download, ISBN 978-059-382-6645 for $95. And now we're going to take a look at some mystery and suspense titles. Crossroad Blues, Nick Travers, Book 1, 25th Anniversary Edition, by Ace Atkins, read by Dion Graham. Narrator Dion Graham, with his ability to tap into a wide variety of voices, is the right pick for this blues-heavy novel, first published in 1998, featuring music, violence, sex, and a psychopath. Nick Travers is a former pro football player turned blues historian at Tulane University in Louisiana. He is sent to find a music professor who went missing while researching the legendary 1930s blues musician Robert Johnson. The mission gets messy. There are many characters involved in the story, and Graham's stellar work helps the listener keep them straight. He goes beyond giving them different voices and pacing. He varies entire dialects. He is also nicely expressive in the narrative portions of the audiobook. This is simply a first-rate performance by a first-rate narrator. It's available from Recorded Books, 7.25 hours long, unabridged. Library edition CD, ISBN 979-889-0597533 for $74.75. Also available as digital download or MP3. The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, Alison Larkin presents, by Agatha Christie and Alison Larkin, read by Simon Jones. Golden Voice Simon Jones delivers Agatha Christie's classic locked room mystery to perfection. After the overdose death of Mrs. Ferrars and the murder of his friend, Roger Ackroyd, a short time later, Dr. Shepherd recounts a story of guilt, blackmail, and despair. Hercule Poirot is renting the cottage next to Shepherd's and soon is drawn into the investigation. Jones provides varied accents for characters ranging from Shepherd's plummy-voiced sister, a spinster, to stuffy butlers, eager maids, unreliable Ackroyd family members, and the local police, all of whom populate the village of King's Abbot. Jones's interpretation of Poirot is impeccable. The elaborate setup and misdirections of Christie's 1926 novel offer a masterclass in mystery writing, and Jones's performance leaves listeners fully satisfied. It's available from Alison Larkin Presents, 7.75 hours long, unabridged. Trade edition digital download for $19.95. The Antique Hunter's Guide to Murder, by C. L. Miller, read by Amelia Fox. Amelia Fox's stylish narration brings Freya and her eccentric Aunt Carol to life as they set out to discover the truth behind the death of their old friend and mentor, Arthur. Their adventure escalates as they find themselves sharing an English manor house with some shady individuals. Fox creates believable characters in both the protagonists, injecting just the right amount of dottiness into Aunt Carol and allowing Freya's personality to develop as her self-confidence returns. Fox rises to the challenge of characterizing a wide range of diverse and sometimes larger-than-life characters. Her timing is spot on, keeping the plot moving during some of the descriptive passages, resulting in an engaging listen. It's available from Simon & Schuster Audio, 11 hours long, unabridged. Trade edition digital download, ISBN 978-179-7169385 for $23.99. Has anyone seen Charlotte Salter? By Nikki French, read by Jane Collingwood. In a crisp British accent, Jane Collingwood fills this mystery of tension as police investigate the 1990 disappearance of Charlotte Salter, who never arrived at her husband's 50th birthday party. Collingwood portrays Charlotte's 15-year-old daughter Etty as frantic, while her 4 brothers, who are mostly stoned or drunk, are voiced with all the nonchalance of teenagers. Collingwood ensures that their father comes across as utterly obnoxious. When the Salters' neighbour, Duncan Ackerley, drowns, Etty stridently voices her concern about her mother's absence. 30 years later, another murder raises more questions and ratchets up the tension. Collingwood adopts mellower tones for the Ackerley and Salter families as they and hard-nosed DI Maud O'Connor uncover the startling truth. It's available from Harper Audio, 12.5 hours unabridged. Trade edition digital download, ISBN 978-006-329-8323 for $27.99. The Busybody by Kemper Donovan, read by Eva Kaminsky. Narrator Eva Kaminsky sets just the right snarky tone for the protagonist of this mystery, a misanthropic ghostwriter who has been hired to help a failed presidential candidate write her memoir. But when murder intervenes, the unnamed ghostwriter and Dorothy Gibson, the candidate, decide to become amateur sleuths. Much to our ghostwriter's surprise, the two not only solve the case, but also become friends. Kemper Donovan, who hosts an Agatha Christie podcast, uses some of that writer's best-known conventions, such as assembling the suspects in a drawing room to unveil the murderer. While some of the plot twists are a little far-fetched, the rapport between the main characters is engaging, and the protagonist is a wonderful guide for this debut series. Listeners will enjoy her pithy observations, trenchantly delivered by Kaminsky. It's available from Recorded Books, 10 hours long, unabridged. Library edition, digital download, ISBN 979-889-1784086 for $27.99, also as CD or MP3. How to Solve Your Own Murder by Kristen Perrin, read by Alexandra Dowling and Jay Jacobs. Dual narrators Alexandra Dowling and Jay Jacobs tackle a twisting tale in this engaging audiobook. When she is abruptly summoned to the Gravesdown estate to discuss a possible inheritance, Annie Adams is eager to meet her famously paranoid great-aunt Frances. But Frances is murdered just before Annie arrives, and Annie's attempts to investigate may put her squarely in the killer's sights. Dowling shines as anxious Annie, expertly mixing apprehension with growing confidence as she follows the complex web of grievances and secrets nurtured in a small village over decades. Jacobs deftly portrays Frances as a young woman in 1966, haunted by a prophecy of her impending doom and concerned about the recent odd behaviour of her 2 best friends. It's available from Penguin Audio, 10.75 hours unabridged. Trade edition digital download, ISBN 978-059-382-8007 for $22.50. Books on Tape has the library edition. Digital download, ISBN 978-059-382-8014 for $85.50. Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera, read by January Lavoie and Will Damron. January Lavoie and Will Damron give sterling performances in this audiobook about a woman who is suspected of committing a murder 5 years earlier and the popular true crime podcaster who exposes her. Lavoie is simply outstanding as the often funny Lucy Chase. She adopts a sardonic, fatalistic tone that matches Lucy's character. Lavoie also is great in supporting roles, employing accents that reflect the small-town Texas setting of the story. Damron, as the fine-looking, deep-voiced podcaster Ben Owens, also is top-notch. The podcast episodes sound authentic, and Damron also brings a Texas twang when that is needed. This is an excellent, fun listen, filled with unusual and relatable characters. Listeners looking for a grin will enjoy it. It's available from Macmillan Audio, 9.25 hours unabridged. Trade edition, digital download, ISBN 978-125-0332103 for $26.99. And that's it for me for today. Thank you for joining us for Audiobook News. My name is Sarah.
Aftersight.
Hello, listeners. This is Family Medicine resident physician Dr. Cindy Lay. Do you feel that lately you've been having more difficulty concentrating or enjoying your favorite activities? Perhaps you've been low on energy or overwhelmed by guilt? These symptoms, along with changes to sleep and appetite, may suggest depression. It's important to know you're not alone. Around 19% of U.S. adults are dealing with mental health challenges, with anxiety and depression being the most common. Taking the brave step of talking to a mental health professional or your primary care doctor is key for your well-being. This can lead to discussions about therapy or medication. If one medication doesn't help, it doesn't mean that another won't. There are about 5 major types of antidepressants, and your doctor can help find what would work best for you. Depression is not your fault and could be due to a chemical imbalance in your brain. It is as serious as any other chronic illness, like diabetes or blood pressure. Depression medications do not have to be long-term, but it can help you get back up on your feet. Your mental health matters, and seeking help is a sign of strength, not weakness. If you would be interested in finding a therapist in your area, you may visit www.psychologytoday.com/US/therapists. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, help is available. Call or text 988 or visit 988lifeline.org. The 988 Lifeline provides 24/7 free and confidential support for people in distress, as well as suicide prevention and crisis resources for you or your loved ones. Attention caregivers in Boulder County. Navigating the pharmacy process for your loved ones can be streamlined with the right knowledge. The Boulder County Area Agency on Aging, or BCAAA, offers insights to make prescription management less overwhelming. You'll need to provide essential information like name, date of birth, address, allergies, and Medicare details. The process typically follows these steps. The physician sends the prescription to a pharmacy. It's processed through your insurance, and you're informed about the copay. Be aware of the medication's availability, and if there's a back order, know how to transfer prescriptions if necessary. Independent pharmacies may offer a more personalized service and should be considered. Don't forget to check on delivery options and associated costs. For a detailed guide on handling prescriptions and pharmacy-related concerns, and to tap into a wealth of caregiving resources, reach out to the BCAAA. Call them at 303-441-1617 or visit bouldercountyhelp.org. And for questions directly related to this message, you can contact Karen McFarlane, a passionate and experienced pharmacy technician, at 303-440-3111. BCAAA and its dedicated team are here to empower caregivers with the support and information needed to care for their loved ones effectively.